She sat down at the microphone, took a breath, and said the one word everyone had been waiting 3 weeks to hear. Magical. That was it. That was the word. And for a family that had spent almost 3 years dodging questions, hiding behind sunglasses, and slipping out of stadiums through side doors just to avoid the cameras, saying even that much was a big deal. Because this wasn't just any wedding. This was the wedding. The one the whole world had been talking about since the moment two people fell in love in front of 80,000 screaming fans. And the person finally opening up about it wasn't Taylor. It wasn't Travis. It was someone standing just close enough to see it all unfold, and just far enough to keep most of it a secret. Her name is Kylie Kelce, and on a quiet Thursday afternoon, she gave the world its first real glimpse behind the curtain. Let's go back to where this story really begins. 3 years earlier, on a summer night in Kansas City, a football player named Travis Kelce showed up to a concert with a plan. He'd made a friendship bracelet, the kind fans trade with each other at Taylor Swift shows, and he wanted to give it to her. He never got the chance that night, but he did something else. He went on a podcast a few days later and joked about it, about being turned away, about wanting to meet her. Somehow that joke reached her, and not long after, the two of them were talking, then dating. Then, within a matter of months, Taylor Swift was sitting in a suite at Arrowhead Stadium, wearing a red jacket, cheering for a tight end from Kansas City in front of a stunned nation. From that point on, nothing about their relationship was small. Every game she attended became a headline. Every look the cameras caught between them became a moment fans would replay for days. Two of the most famous people on the planet had found each other, and the whole world had a front row seat. But somewhere behind that spotlight was a family trying to hold onto something normal. Travis has an older brother, Jason Kelce, a longtime NFL center who spent his career doing the unglamorous work up front, the kind of player fans respect, but rarely put on magazine covers. Jason is married to a woman named Kylie. Together, they have 4 young daughters. And when Taylor Swift walked into their family's life, she didn't just become Travis's girlfriend. She became someone the kids adored, someone who showed up, someone who, in Kylie's own words, felt like family long before anything was official. That detail matters. Hold on to it, because it explains almost everything about how this story ends. For nearly 3 years, the relationship between Taylor and Travis unfolded mostly in public. But the people around them, the family, stayed almost entirely silent about anything personal. Kylie Kelce, who by then had built her own following through a podcast called Not Gonna Lie, where she talks candidly about parenting, marriage, and everyday life, made a habit of keeping Taylor and Travis's relationship off limits. She'd answer questions about her own kids, her own husband, her own chaotic mornings getting 4 little girls out the door. But when it came to her brother-in-law's love life, she stayed quiet, protective, loyal. Then came the proposal. Then came the wedding planning. And then on July 3rd, something happened that had been rumored, whispered about, and speculated on for months. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got married. The location alone tells you this wasn't going to be a small backyard affair. They chose Madison Square Garden, in the heart of New York City, a building that has hosted championship fights, sold-out concerts, and some of the most electric nights in sports and music history. Now it would host something else entirely, a wedding, their wedding. Reports say the guest list stretched past 1,000 people. Think about that for a second. 1,000 guests walking into one of the most iconic arenas on earth. Not for a game, not for a concert, but to watch 2 people promise themselves to each other forever. And somewhere in that massive crowd, tucked among the family and friends who mattered most, were 4 little girls. Wyatt, Elliot, Bennett, and Finley, Kylie and Jason's daughters. The same girls who, on any normal day, might be found running through a backyard or arguing over a toy, were instead walking down the aisle as flower girls, scattering petals across the floor of Madison Square Garden for their aunt and uncle. A sports commentator who was there later described the scene, saying the Kelce family was just wonderful to watch. especially those 4 little girls sprinkling flower petals everywhere. He said it was pretty cool. And honestly, picture it for yourself. For small children, dressed for the biggest night of their aunt's life, walking through a room built for legends, doing the one job every little girl dreams about at a wedding. That alone would be a sweet detail in any ordinary wedding story. But this wasn't ordinary. Nothing about it was. The person officiating the ceremony wasn't a judge or a priest pulled from a directory. It was Adam Sandler. Yes, that Adam Sandler. The actor and comedian, known for decades of movies and a friendship with a couple that clearly ran deep enough for them to trust him with the most important words of the night. And the entertainment, if you can even call it that, because calling it entertainment almost undersells what reportedly happened. Paul McCartney, one of the most legendary musicians in history, a man who helped shape the sound of an entire generation with the Beatles, performed. Stevie Nicks, the voice behind decades of iconic music, also took the stage. Picture that room, 1,000 guests, 2 music legends performing live, all of it happening inside Madison Square Garden, transformed for one night from an arena into something closer to a fairy tale. And then there were the party favors, if you can call them that. Reports describe guests going home with gifts like luxury handbags, Cartier watches, even a vintage Chevrolet Chevelle given away during the night. Not your typical wedding favor of a candle or a slice of cake wrapped in napkin. This was a celebration on a scale most people will never witness in their lifetime. Taylor Swift, known for her signature style and attention to detail in everything she does, wore a custom gown from Christian Dior Haute Couture, designed by Jonathan Anderson, who had just taken over as the fashion house's creative director. It marked the first time he had designed a dress for a celebrity of her caliber, a quiet but meaningful detail for anyone who follows fashion closely. Both Taylor and Travis reportedly wore custom shoes from Christian Louboutin, and Taylor's jewelry came from Cartier, the same brand connected to some of those extravagant guest gifts. For weeks after the wedding, the public knew only fragments, a date, a location, a handful of leaked details here and there, but nothing from the people who were actually inside that room. No official photos, no interviews, no statements from Taylor or Travis themselves. The two of them, it seemed, wanted to keep this one moment out of all the moments in their very public relationship, just for themselves. That silence only made people more curious, and it put Kylie Kelce in an interesting position. She had been there. She had watched her daughters walk down that aisle. She had witnessed the ceremony, the music, the joy on her brother-in-law's face. And every single week on her podcast, she faced an audience hungry for even the smallest detail. For weeks, she gave them nothing. She'd smile past the question, change the subject, protect the couple's privacy the same way she always had. Fans understood, mostly, but that didn't stop them from asking. Then came July 23rd, just another Thursday, just another episode of Not Gonna Lie. But this time, something was different. Kylie sat down, and instead of dodging the topic entirely, she finally addressed it, not with a flood of details, not with photos or stories about the ceremony itself. Just a few sentences, simple, honest, warm. I would like to say congratulations to Tay and Trav, she said. It was absolutely magical. For words that fans had been waiting on for weeks. Absolutely magical. She continued, her voice full of genuine affection. I'm so happy for them. I love them so dearly. And then she said something that reframed the entire wedding in a completely different light. Something that, if you really sit with it, changes how you think about that whole night at Madison Square Garden. It was only making it official, she said, because Taylor's been part of the family now for quite some time. Read that again. Kylie wasn't describing the wedding as the beginning of something. She was describing it as a confirmation of something that had already existed for years. In her eyes, and clearly in the eyes of the rest of the Kelce family, Taylor Swift had been family long before any vows were exchanged. The wedding wasn't the moment she joined them. It was simply the moment the world got to see what they already knew. fans immediately picked up on the significance of that comment. It wasn't just a nice thing to say about a new sister-in-law. It was a quiet but powerful statement about how deeply Taylor had already been woven into their everyday lives. The holidays, the birthdays, the countless family moments that happened far away from stadiums and red carpets. All of it apparently had already included her. But even with that heartfelt statement, Kylie made it clear she wasn't about to become the family's official wedding spokesperson. When pressed for more, she gently but firmly closed the door on further details. "Anything else," she said, "you can check in with Taylor and Travis about. Any of the details that they want to share, they can share." It was a graceful way of saying, "This isn't my story to tell." And in an era where celebrity culture often feels like it holds nothing back, where every detail eventually leaks out one way or another, that kind of restraint stood out. Kylie Kelce had the chance to give her audience exactly what they wanted. Instead, she protected the privacy of two people who had spent years living most of their lives in public. It's worth pointing out that Kylie wasn't the only Kelce dealing with the strange new reality of being connected to one of the most famous couples on the planet. Just 2 days before her podcast episode aired, her husband Jason Kelce appeared on a different show and talked about how dramatically things had changed for their family once his brother's relationship with Taylor became public. He described it not as a slow, gradual shift, but as something sudden. One day, they were simply the Kelce family. The next, they were part of a story being watched by millions of people around the world. And it wasn't just public attention that shifted. Around the same time, in an interview conducted while he competed in a celebrity golf tournament in Nevada, Jason opened up about the wedding itself, describing it as something truly special for their family. He even admitted, with his usual sense of humor, that he had celebrated a little too hard that night, joking that he had gone through way more than 15 beers at the reception. It's a small, funny detail, but it says something bigger. Underneath all the headlines, the Cartier watches, the legendary musicians, and the Madison Square Garden spectacle, this was still, at its core, a family celebrating one of their own finding love. A brother watching his younger brother get married. A sister-in-law watching her daughters take part in one of the most meaningful days of their lives. A family doing what families do at weddings everywhere, just on a much, much bigger stage. For Kylie Kelce, staying quiet about the wedding for as long as she did wasn't about withholding information for the sake of drama. It was about respect. She understood, probably better than almost anyone else in that family, what it meant to live even partially in the public eye. Her own podcast had already turned her into a recognizable voice, someone strangers felt like they knew personally. She'd built that connection with her audience by being open and honest about her own life, her marriage, her daughters, the chaos of raising 4 kids under the age of 7. But Taylor and Travis's relationship, and now their marriage, wasn't hers to open up about. Even as someone who had been there, who had watched the ceremony, who had seen her own children play a role in it, she drew a clear line between what was hers to share and what belonged to the 2 people who had actually said "I do." When she finally did speak, she didn't overshare. She didn't turn it into a viral moment for the sake of attention. She gave her audience something real, a genuine reaction. 2 words that captured the feeling of the night without giving away a single detail that wasn't already hers to give. Absolutely magical. And in some ways, that restraint tells its own story. In a world where nearly everything gets recorded, leaked, or turned into content within minutes, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce managed to have one night, one deeply personal night, that remained largely theirs. No official wedding photos have been released. No detailed interviews, just fragments pieced together from the people who were lucky enough to witness it and generous enough to share just a little bit of what they saw. Kylie Kelce could have said so much more. She had every detail sitting right there, ready to share with an audience that clearly wanted to hear it. Instead, she chose 4 simple words and a whole lot of love. And maybe that's exactly why those 4 words meant so much. Because in an era where privacy is rare and everything eventually comes out, a single word like magical, spoken with real emotion by someone who was actually there, can say more than 1,000 photos ever could. Somewhere between Arrowhead Stadium and Madison Square Garden, between a friendship bracelet that never got delivered and a ceremony officiated by one of the most beloved comedians of a generation, two people built a love story big enough to fill an arena, and private enough that even their own family is still choosing their words carefully. For now, the world has that one word to hold on to: magical. And for two people who have spent years living so much of their love story in public, maybe that's exactly how they wanted it. A night the whole world can wonder about, and only a handful of people will ever truly know.